Welcome back to Hannity. Tonight we have a media mash alert. Two mainstream liberal news networks have now joined forces to work with the president and Democrats to help them push through their radical agenda to limit your Second Amendment rights. Now, NBC News gave Vice President Joe Biden 3 full hours of airtime this morning to spew his anti-gun rhetoric, while CNN, they're blocking off 2 full nights of programming to advocate for what? Gun control. Joining me now to help explain all of this, president of the Media Research Center, Brent Bozell. Well, I guess the most important and obvious point here is they have pretty much become an extension of the Obama White House and the Democratic Party. They're the press outlets. They're the propaganda outlets.
Yeah, Sean, for anyone to suggest that Sean Hannity is exaggerating or Brent Bozell is using hyperbole to say that is proven entirely wrong at this point. That is exactly what the quote-unquote news media have become on the left. CNN and MSNBC, as we can see with the gun control debate, are openly promoting not just gun control, but the president's gun control agenda and calling it news. It is beyond shocking. It is such an outrage that somebody really, at the corporate level, needs to have a conversation with these networks because they are abusing the word news.
This ship has sailed. I said it a long time ago. Journalism in America is dead. It just is. And they act like they're unbiased. They're not. They have an agenda. All right, let's go to Democratic Senator Joe Manchin and the Vice President Joe Biden thanking CNN and NBC for their support.
I want to know people with expertise that understands guns, understands mental illness, understands school safety, understands video violence, and see if we can start culturally changing.
Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia, you've been working around the clock on this compromise deal. I think you have a very busy few weeks ahead of you still.
We appreciate your support, too. This is very, very important.
Mr. Vice President, thank you so much.
And thank you all for being with us.
Thank you. It was a great discussion. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Thank you. No.
Seriously.
Joe, you have changed the debate in America. You.
Right. Thank you so much.
The 2 guys that deserve anything gets done, an award here, are you and Michael Bloomberg.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for my free coverage. They ought to be paying for this airtime.
Thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. What should have been the response by Joe Scarborough? What should have been the response by CNN? Hold on a second, Mr. Vice President. Hold on, Senator. That's not our role. That's not what we do. Don't thank us because we're not advocates for your position. That's what a news reporter would do. That's what a real journalist would do. Both of these networks should have taken offense to the statements being made. The fact that they will respond by saying, "Oh no, thank you," shows how
thank you.
Just two peas in a pod.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. You know, look, I guess.
Now, how about this?
No, thank
Sean,
you. But you have an NBC
this.
Republican. By, liberal Joe Scarborough. I want to be invited to all the parties. I want the establishment in D.C. to love me. Let's take another clip of him.
Mm-hmm. Any Republican, any Democrat that runs against responsible, rational solutions to take care of our long-term debt is selling out our children, is stealing from the next generation. It's generational theft. And for Republicans to do this is beyond shameless. They did it in 2010.
Right. And they using it with a $700 billion Medicare thing.
To tell the president, we've been busting his chops for months. Put it out there. Be responsible.
He wants to be loved by all these guys. And it's so obvious
Close
he's
your eyes. Listen to those words, closing your eyes, and it's Joe Biden. He's indistinguishable from Joe Biden or, for that matter, Barack Obama. And, for good old buddy Joe Scarborough then to turn around and say, well, I'm the conservative at MSNBC. If he is the conservative at MSNBC, what does that say about everyone else? Unfortunately, the water cooler is such at MSNBC that Joe Scarborough has betrayed those conservative principles.
No, I think Joe wants to keep his job and his big paycheck. Let's be honest about it. All right. Well, let's go to thrill up his leg Chris Matthews. We can't do a segment without him, and he's saying he has no problem with the issue of NBC taking sides here.
I think MSNBC, you and I, and a bunch of other people in this network have been keeping up the fight for gun safety for the 2 or 3 months of this fight since Newtown. Not just a few times, but consistently every night. Absolutely consistent fighting spirit here on this network to really push for this kind of action. So I don't think there's any problem with taking sides here.
Who needs Jay Carney when you've got Chris Matthews?
Exactly right. Exactly. Now, on another segment, he actually gave the phone number out for members of Congress and told people to call their congressman. You know, Sean, there comes a point where you have to ask yourself, isn't this corporate lobbying by the Comcast Corporation? It's not just to advocate gun control. He is pushing a certain piece of legislation and using a national network to push national legislation. That, to me, is corporate lobbying.
You know what this is? This is like state-run media. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that, because listen to Joe Biden's comments. That we do have a Second Amendment to our Constitution. 99.9% of Americans that own guns are law-abiding. They don't commit crimes. Nothing that is being passed, as I mentioned earlier, nothing that they're discussing would have prevented Aurora, Newtown, nothing. It's all feel-good legislation. But here it is, state-run media, Joe Biden on NBC.
It used to be we were dealing almost exclusively, Joe, with hunters. When I did this the first time in '94, it was the one group I had to go speak to and make sure they were satisfied with what we were doing were hunters. There's a whole new sort of group of individuals now who, I don't know what the numbers are, that never hunt at all, but they own guns for one of two reasons: self-protection, or they just like the feel of that AR-15 at the range. They like the way it feels. They just, you know, it's like driving a Ferrari.
Now, maybe they like freedom. You ever think of that? Is that a potential option?
I gotta say, I wish the answer to him had been, Mr. Vice President, it's none of your damn business.
Yeah.
It's none of government's damn business to tell me how I should feel when I'm holding my gun. They've really crossed a line here.
All right, let's go back to CNN. Let's look at them. They're devoting all this time to being state-run media themselves. Let's roll the tape.
Well, just had a 360 exclusive that might just change the way you think about existing gun laws. You're supposed to show ID at gun shows and fill out a form when you're getting a weapon. Instead, you're going to see what our undercover camera saw, just how willing some gun show dealers are to sell weapons, including a rifle almost identical to the one used in Newtown, with no ID, no paperwork, no questions asked. Our undercover cameras caught it all.
Michael Moore says introduce the bill. Let Republicans vote against it. So my question, are Democrats weenies for not bringing an assault weapons ban to the floor?
You see the way most Americans, by the way, there's an undercurrent of, you know, almost Obama-like clinging to their God, guns, Bible, religion, this underlying sentiment. It's like we're driving a Ferrari. You feel big and important. Did you catch that?
A news network, CNN, put out a corporate press release on Tuesday saying they were going to advocate for the next 2 days. A news division putting out a corporate statement announcing they were lobbying. What does that tell you?
All right, Brent Bozell, great report tonight. Thank you for being with us.